G'day guys, Dave here from Jim's Fencing. We're here in sunny Mount Annan doing a modular wall product of the product called Vogue wall. The delivery of the product has already arrived, as you can see, and I'm going to show you what tools you need to do the job effectively. Alright guys, before you start any construction project, it's very important to protect yourself and your fellow workmates. So we're going to go through the personal protection equipment required in order to do this job safely. We've got the gloves, the earmuffs, the safety goggles. If you're working outside guys, it's important to protect yourselves against the elements, so we recommend you apply sun cream and also a hat. Also, when doing these installs, you require certain power tools to make the job a lot easier. We need an angle grinder for cutting through the steel. We need an impact driver for driving those tech screws through the steel. We also need a circular saw for cutting through those fibre cement panels. It's handy to have a fibre cement cutting blade on your circular saw. Then we move to digging the holes. We need the hole pincers, which are called shovels. We've also got the iron bar. The bar's handy for removing those stubborn rocks and bricks from the subterranean. We've also got the cement shovel, the concrete shovel for mixing the concrete in the wheelbarrow. We've got a spirit level. The spirit level, obviously very important for getting a nice straight fence. The step ladder is required when inserting the fibre cement panels into the posts. They can get quite tall and you'll generally need 2 of these. Before we install the fence, we need to ensure the fence is going to be straight, and a very important tool required to ensure the fence is straight is a string line. So we run a string line from point A to point B, and then we can mark out those posts onto the ground by using the line marking paint. We've got the rubber mallet. The rubber mallet can be used for tapping down those post caps. Also very important is the tape measure, for obviously measuring the distance between posts and also the height of the fence. And then we've got the caulking gun. The caulking gun is used for applying the liquid nails and the silicone to the posts and the channels. We've also got the vice grips. The vice grips can be used when applying the tech screws to the post to maintain that firm grip on the post. Guys, before you start any installation job, it's very important to identify the boundary. To do that, you need to locate the surveyor's pegs. Now, a lot of the time in existing properties, the surveyor's pegs are long gone. So you may need to contact your local council or get a surveyor to come and locate those pegs for you or install them. In this case, we're lucky enough to have found the surveyor's pegs amongst the grass. The surveyor's pegs are generally a wooden peg painted white at the top with a nail driven through the top, and that will help you identify the true boundary. Once we've located the peg, we'll run the string line along that boundary and we can be sure that that's where our fence posts will go. Okay, we're covering the post hole depth now guys. The product we're using today is Vogue wall, and it is mandatory that for the Vogue wall, the depth is 1/3 of the height of the fence. The fence we're doing today is 2,400 millimetres, so the post hole depth must be a minimum of 800 millimetres. That's at 800 millimetres, and the width must be 350 millimetres by 350 millimetres. Now the post hole depth and sizes will vary depending on which modular wall product you are installing. Further information on those products is available from Modular Wall website. Okay guys, the last part of step 1 is determining the post centres. To do that, we need to first of all determine the distance between point A and point B. In this case, the distance between point A to point B was 6,700 millimetres. We've then divided it by 3 because we're having 3 panels, and that'll give us the distance of our post centres. In this case, it's 2,233 millimetres. Once we've determined that distance, we'll go along with our tape measure and mark out those post centres on the ground with some line marking paint. Alright, the first part of step 2 is the post assembly. It's important to identify the posts come in 2 parts. Now when we assemble the posts, it's important that the large flange is overlapped the small flange. We also need to identify the pre-drilled screw holes. So once we've aligned those screw holes, we then clamp the post into position using the vice grips. Then with your impact driver and the Tek screws provided, we go to the middle of the post and we start assembling the post. Okay, once the middle screw has been fixed, you can then apply the rest of the Tek screws in any particular order. But you must ensure that a Tek screw is in every pre-drilled hole. The next step of our post installation is the application of the panel support bracket. Before we apply the panel support bracket, we need to determine 2 things. Firstly, are we using external or flush post capping? And secondly, the height of the wall. In this case, we are using flush post capping, and I've already identified the height of my wall. I've marked the height of my wall using a marker and a tape measure on the side of the post. When applying the panel support bracket, you also need to identify the pre-drilled screw holes. They must be on the underside of the panel support bracket. We then insert the panel support bracket into the channel of the post at the desired height, and using the Tek screws provided and an impact driver, we will secure the bracket to the post. Okay guys, so we're now up to step 4, which is the post fitment and alignment stage. What we've done is we've actually assembled the post as you saw, we've fixed our bracket and we've got our master post in position. We've then run our string line and we've got our desired height. So now we're going to pour the concrete, which has been pre-mixed in the wheelbarrow, into the post hole with the post in position. So what we've got, guys, is our master post in position at point A, and we have our second post in position at point B. And what we're going to do is go along in between and set the intermittent posts. So what you need to do is make sure there's no physical obstructions along that string line that will affect the line. Making sure it's level against the line and also vertically. And once you're confident the post is in the right position in both angles, you can then set your post in the concrete. G'day guys, Dave here from Jim's Fencing, day 2 of the wall installation here at Mount Annan. Before we go any further with today, I'm just going to recap what we did yesterday on day 1. Day 1 started with the first step, which was establishing the boundary line. Once we've established the boundary line, we marked the post centres on the ground with the marking paint. Step 2 was assembling the posts, remembering that the posts come in 2 parts. We need to connect those posts and then screw them together with the screws provided. Step 3 was fixing those panel support brackets to the inside channel of the posts. Before we do that, we need to determine the height of the wall. Step 4 is the post fitment and alignment. Now when we install the posts, it's very important that every single post is plumb, and we do that by using the string line and our spirit level. Step 5 is spacing your post correctly. Now when we're doing this guys, we need to ensure the distance between post to post is no greater than the wall panels provided. You can also do this by using a tape measure. That leads us to step 6, which is fitting the capping channel to the panel. Now guys, before we insert the panels between the posts, we need to make sure the concrete has gone off. Now we've allowed that to occur over a 24-hour period. Here we are on day 2, and we're going to start inserting those panels. Alright guys, so what I've just done is I've measured the distance from the top of the panel to the bottom, and I've made a mark where I need to make my cut. Now making cuts on the bottom of these panels isn't necessary for all jobs. Now that depends on 2 things: the height of the panels supplied and also any uneven land you may have. So what I've done is I've marked my distances, I've drawn my line, and now I'm going to make the cut. Now before we make the cut, we need to make sure we've got approved personal protection equipment that meets the Australian standard. I've got my dust mask, my glasses and my earmuffs. Alright guys, now that I've got the correct panel height, I now need to determine the correct panel width. The way I do that is to take the distance from post A to post B. Once I've got that measurement, I come to my panel and I mark top, bottom and draw my line. I then make the cut. Alright guys, now we're up to step 6. Step 6 is fitting the capping channel to the panel. Now before we make any cuts on the capping channel, we need to ensure the length of the capping channel is 10 millimeters less than the length of the panel itself. The reason we do this is to allow the capping channel to slide down and freely miss the screws within the post channels. Alright guys, now we're up to the final part of step 6, and that is applying the liquid nails to the capping channel. Now, it's very important that when you apply the liquid nails to the capping channel, it's done with one continuous bead on the left and the right aspect. As you can see, I've just applied it, and you can see one nice long continuous bead along the channel. We then apply the capping channel to the bottom of the panel. Now when we apply the capping channel, we need to make sure that we've got 5 mil of clearance on either end of the panel. 5 mil here and 5 mil there. So start with one end, tap it on down the line, making sure it goes on evenly. Once it's on, with the palm of your hand, tap it in, making sure the panel is firmly seated in the channel. that's it guys, we're ready to install the panel between the posts. Alright, so we're just inserting the panel now into the channel. It's very important that you do this in a team, one individual on each end, and make sure the panel slides down in that channel evenly. Alright guys, that's step 6 now complete. We're up to step 7. Step 7 is inserting the joining strips into the top of the panel. Now you need 2, one on each side of the panel. Now it's very important, these are cut to the same length as your panel. They are then inserted into the little channel, and then we then slide in the second panel. I've now cut my joining strips to size. Now I'm going to insert them. Okay guys, we're up to step 8. Step 8 is inserting the top panel. When we do this, we need to ensure that the joining strips at the bottom there securely fit into the channels at the bottom of this top panel. Okay, so we're now up to step 9, which is the application of the top panel capping to the top panel. So starting at one end, like we did with the bottom panel capping, apply one edge first and slowly work your way along, softly tapping it down into position. We've come to the point where we're applying the post tops to the top of the posts, and you'll notice these are the flush cappings, and we've got a lip all around the edge. This lip fits on the inside of the post. Guys, as you can see, the lip is on the inside of the post. We feed it in from one end and we slowly work our way along. Now they may require some manipulation. And it fits in there nice and securely, like so. Now if they are a bit stubborn, you may require a rubber mallet, give it a little hit and it'll be in there nice and tight. Alright guys, so now that the post top is in position on top of the post, we're then going to seal the edge with the Sikaflex sealant. So you run a bead of silicone on the top, around all four edges. Once that's sealed, we also need to apply a bead of silicone all the way between the panel and the post. Now for cleanup, you will need a quantity of rags and some mineral turf. Okay, so we're up to the final stage of our project, which is applying the end post infills to the end of the post. So we've cut this one to size. Start from the top, tapping it in as you go down. Making sure it's in there nice and snug. Once it's in position, we use our silicone and we run the bead of silicone down the edges and tidy it off as required with our rags and our turpentine. All right, so here we are guys, the project is complete. After 2 full days here at Mount Annan, the guys have done a fantastic job, and as you can see behind me, the wall's finished and looks fantastic. The owner of the house is very happy, and so are we. When doing a job like this, if I can give you 3 tips, it's first of all, run that string line, guys. Get your levels and your lines perfect. With products like this, you can't make any mistakes. So make sure you check those measurements twice. And the last point to remember, guys, if you're unsure about anything when tackling a project like this, is give Modular Walls a call. They've got a very, very helpful team. The guys in the call centre are fantastic, and they will be able to help you with all your inquiries. Thanks for watching.